6 armed police officers surround a black woman. No weapons, no warrant, not a single explanation, but just seconds later, it's they who are trembling. Sweat rolls down Maya Daniels' cheek. She stands still, eyes unblinking. "Don't move. One wrong step and we will open fire." The back door creaks open. From the shadows, 2 dark figures step out, slow but purposeful. Blitz, Echo. Combat dogs in black tactical gear, the Federal Task Force emblem emblazoned on their shoulders. A cop whispers, voice choked with disbelief. "Oh my God, those are canine operators." Aggression fades. Fear floods in. They realize, this woman isn't just a suspect, she's a former Marine Special Operations agent. And this is her territory. When justice is twisted, who will rise to reclaim it? Maya Daniels had lived through gunfire and bombs, but never had she felt pressure like this, being held at gunpoint by American cops. She was once a K-9 specialist in the Marine Corps, 3 tours in Afghanistan, over 10 near-death encounters. After discharge, she didn't seek glory. She chose a small farm in South Carolina, 5 acres, vegetables, chickens, and her 2 former comrades, Blitz and Echo. Every morning, before sunrise, Maya ran 5 miles, Blitz to the left, Echo to the right, as if still patrolling hostile ground. Those habits were the only thing that kept her sane. PTSD isn't loud. It lurks in dreams, in the creak behind the door. She wore no medals, told no war stories. All she wanted was peace. But peace isn't something people like her are freely given. That morning, Maya was tending to her tomatoes when she heard tires screeching on gravel. 3 police cruisers slid to a halt at her gate. 2 more flanked the rear. She stood up, removed her gardening gloves, face expressionless, but adrenaline already surged inside her. Her eyes scanned every position. 6 officers. Semicircle formation. No ambulance. No emergency orders. This wasn't a rescue. It was a takedown. The lead, Lieutenant Mason Clay, known as the Collector, 3 prior racial discrimination complaints, never held accountable. "Maya Daniels," Clay said, half mocking, half threatening, "we need to talk. I'm willing to cooperate, but without a warrant, you're not allowed on my property." Clay smirked, but his eyes were steel cold. "We have reason to believe suspicious activity is taking place here." Maya knew this script. Vague, baseless, no specifics. All they needed was a single overreaction. Maya kept her tone calm, but every cell in her body scanned the scene like a combat map. "I demand to see a search warrant." Clay said nothing, just nodded. 2 officers broke formation, heading straight for the barn and chicken coop. Another prowled the garden. A harsh kick. Tomato baskets shattered, red staining the earth. "I do not consent to a search. This is private property." They didn't listen. They didn't need to. They came to provoke her. One officer quietly slipped behind the barn, bending down as if dropping something. But Maya saw it. A movement that didn't match tactical training. He had just planted a small white bag in the fertilizer bin. She didn't react, just slipped her hand into her pocket. A gentle tap on a hidden recorder. Recording started. She'd worked in enemy zones, where every gunshot masked a lie. She knew how to fight without firing a single shot, and this battle wouldn't be fought on a battlefield. It would be won, with evidence, with restraint. Among the 6 officers, one stood out. Younger, shoulders unsure, eyes flicking between Maya and the rest. Name tag, Cole, Ryan Cole, less than a year on the force. When Clay ordered a breach on the house, Cole hesitated. Hand off his weapon. Eyes locked with Maya. A brief pause. He knew what this was. "I don't allow anyone inside without a warrant." Maya's voice sharp as when addressing a commanding officer. Clay stepped closer, breath hot in her face. "That reaction suggests you're hiding something. We have authority. Resist, and we'll arrest you." No warrant, no cause. That's a federal violation. Clay sneered, but glanced at Cole for a read. Cole swallowed, then said nothing. A step back. And Maya understood. He wouldn't disobey orders, but he wouldn't aid corruption either. A crack in the wall surrounding her. And sometimes a crack is enough for light to break through. Clay took a step back, lips curled. You think wearing a uniform for a few years makes you a lawyer? Maya didn't reply, but her gaze was sharp. She'd negotiated with insurgent leaders. She knew men who used authority to cover fear. Behind Clay, 2 officers began prying open the barn. One searched. The other stood watch, pretending not to see. Maya stayed calm, didn't retreat, didn't speak. She waited. Behind her, Echo gave a low whine. Not a threat, but a signal. Everything was under control. In her pocket, the recording device kept rolling. Security cameras streamed live to the cloud. Every illegal step was now immortalized. Clay turned to inspect the yard, but before walking off, he leaned close and muttered, You think cameras and recorders will save you? Here, justice is what I say it is. A line Maya had heard hundreds of times in war zones. Only this time the speaker wore a badge, not a balaclava. A breeze stirred the fields. Maya stood tall, hands clenched behind her back, not trembling, but blood pulsed hot under her skin. An officer approached her porch. Where are you going? Maya asked. Checking inside. There may be someone hiding. One step further and that's trespassing. I will sue each of you. He hesitated, looked to Clay. Clay nodded. Just then, a car horn blared on the dirt road. A white van pulled up. Channel 9 News printed on the door. A female reporter stepped out, camera ready. Grace Monroe, we received reports of a warrantless search. This is private property, correct? Clay snapped. This is an active investigation. You need to leave. I'm on public land. I have every right to film what's happening here. The lens turned to the police formation, then stopped on Maya. She didn't smile, but her eyes gleamed. She wasn't alone anymore. Silence, when seen, becomes evidence. The camera remained fixed on Maya. Grace held firm, voice clear. Ms. Daniels, why are police here without a warrant? Before Maya could answer, Clay cut in. This is an ongoing investigation. Media interference is not allowed. We're on public land, unless you want a lawsuit for press obstruction. Clay clenched his jaw, turned to his officers. Search the house. She's stalling. 2 officers stepped toward the front door. Maya blocked their path. Voice firm, almost commanding. You will not cross this door without a warrant. That is illegal, and everything is being recorded. At that moment, her phone vibrated. A cracked screen lit up. Sentinel Protocol activated. Assets inbound. She read quickly, never breaking eye contact. Sentinel. A rapid response alert system she and fellow veterans had built. Whenever unlawful entry was detected, data would ping to a 50-mile veteran support network. Not official, not documented, but more effective than law. Maya stepped back just enough to touch Echo's collar. She wasn't entirely calm, but for the first time since this began, she knew backup was coming, and no one expected. This time, the reinforcements wouldn't be police. They'd be those who knew what battlefields really meant, and who justice should belong to. Clay tried to stay in control, but his eyes flickered. The camera was still recording. His threats no longer had the same weight. Stand back, he shouted at the reporters. If she resists, we will arrest her. I'm just standing, on my land, exercising my legal rights. Maya replied, unwavering. Clay growled, turned to Cole. Ryan, get in that house. She's obstructing. Cole didn't move. Lieutenant, I see no lawful grounds to enter without a warrant. Clay spun around, as if stabbed in the back. You defying a direct order? Cole said nothing, but didn't budge. Then, gravel crunched at the road's end. 3 old pickups rolled in. Civilians stepped out. Veterans. no slogans, no signs, just eyes. Calm, firm. They carried no weapons. They carried presence. They carried witness. Clay looked around, lips tight. He was no longer staring down a lone black woman. He now faced a community full of memories, and with nothing left to lose. Maya said nothing. She didn't have to. She knew this was the moment. This wasn't just personal anymore. This was the first bell rung against a system long overdue for reckoning. Clay took a step back, scanning the scene. The camera kept rolling. Maya stood firm. And now, 3 pickup trucks with scattered veterans formed a silent but formidable arc. "This is an illegal gathering," Clay shouted, grasping at what little authority he had left. An older man in a faded shirt with a Marine Corps pin stepped forward calmly. "Who are you arresting?" he asked, voice steady. "We're standing on public land, not breaking any law." Clay opened his mouth to issue an order, but another patrol car pulled up, not from Willow Creek. The door bore the seal of the county sheriff's office. Sheriff Alan Brooks stepped out, slow, assessing. He surveyed the standoff, the camera, then Maya, before fixing his eyes on Clay. "Lieutenant Clay, do you have a warrant?" Clay hesitated. His face stiffened. "We received reports of suspicious activity. No warrant, no search. You know the law. I'll need a written explanation." The air shifted. Officers who moments ago bristled with aggression now exchanged glances, some lowering their heads. Brooks turned to Maya, voice deep but respectful. "Ms. Daniels, on behalf of the county, I apologize. May I speak with you privately?" Maya nodded. Her eyes never left Clay. He stepped back, his face flushed with frustrated rage. "This isn't over." Maya locked eyes with him. "For me, it's just beginning." Brooks and Maya stepped aside, with Grace Monroe's camera still recording from a distance. "I received an anonymous tip. Allegations of procedural violations by Clay's unit," Brooks said quietly. His eyes stayed on the scene. Maya nodded. "I've got audio recordings. Security cameras around the property uploaded all footage to a remote server." "Good. I'll need a copy. If what you're saying is true, this isn't just a violation. It's systemic abuse." Meanwhile, Clay signaled 2 officers to continue searching behind the barn. But Maya had seen one of them earlier, the one who planted the white bag in the fertilizer. She stepped forward, voice calm but clear for all to hear. "Don't think I don't know what you're doing. Every move since you stepped onto my land has been live-streamed. I suggest you stop, before there's no turning back." Just then, Sheriff Brooks' phone rang. He checked the screen, then switched to speaker. "This is the Department of Defense. We received an alert via Sentinel protocol concerning a breach of a former Special Ops veteran's civil rights. A federal investigation unit is en route." A hush fell over the yard. Clay went pale. Some officers flinched. What would you do in this moment? 1. Press Clay further, despite the danger? 2. Step back and let the feds take over? Comment 1 if you believe truth should be confronted head-on. Comment 2 if caution is the wiser move in a power game like this. If you've ever seen injustice being buried, like this video, someone out there may need light on the truth they're living with. A siren blared again. But this wasn't a police car. It was a sleek black SUV with federal plates. 2 men in plain clothes stepped out, jackets slightly revealing Department of Defense badges. The taller one raised his ID. "Michael Gaines, Federal Investigation Coordinator. We were alerted to a civil rights breach involving a former K-9 Special Ops agent." No one spoke. Clay stepped back half a step. "This is a local scene. I don't see—" "Lieutenant Clay," Gaines cut him off, "you and your team are being filmed conducting an unlawful operation. No warrant, no clear legal basis, against a federal veteran. Stand down. Return to your vehicle now, unless you'd like to be cuffed on camera." The final line cracked like a gunshot. Clay looked around, seeking backup, but found none. Officer Cole avoided his gaze. Two others turned away, as if they'd never known him. The team broke. One by one, they withdrew in silence. Clay clenched his jaw and hissed low enough for Maya to hear. "You haven't won. There are still ways to deal with people like you." Maya stepped forward. No yelling, just one line, sharp as steel. "Step back, or I'll file a formal subpoena." Clay didn't answer. He turned, slammed the car door. The sound echoed like a missed slap. Gaines turned to Maya. "Thank you for holding your ground. We'll take it from here. I'll need the recordings, the security feeds, everything. They've been backed up from the start. You'll have access from the cloud in 10 minutes. Gaines nodded, eyes drifting to Blitz and Echo, still standing guard like two living statues. "Good dogs." "Not just good," Maya replied. "They've survived more than anyone here." A breeze swept through, carrying the scent of earth and weeds. Maya watched Clay's SUV disappear beyond the pine trees. She didn't relax. She knew men who abuse power don't walk away without a plan to come back. Echo shifted. Blitz remained alert, eyes locked on the porch perimeter. "I need agents to monitor this scene," said Gaines. "Her data's syncing. What about the storage shed?" "Hasn't been touched again, but I know something was planted in there." She pointed to the backyard. "Green fertilizer bin. Confidential chain of custody." Gaines signaled. A federal agent moved in with gloves, sealing it off like a top-tier crime scene. Sheriff Brooks stepped up, surveying the yard. "I'll contact the district attorney. Clay should be suspended immediately." "That won't be enough," Maya said quietly. "Clay's not acting alone. He's not stupid enough to run this solo." Brooks nodded. "You have someone in mind?" Maya glanced at Cole, standing a few meters away, hand resting lightly on his holster, eyes locked on the dirt. "He knows. Not complicit, but a witness." Brooks understood. He stepped over and called, "Ryan." Cole looked up, hesitated, then walked slowly over. Maya met his eyes. "Today, you stood still. But tomorrow, if you stay silent, you'll just be part of the system. Otherwise, stand for the truth." Cole swallowed. Sweat still dotted his brow, but something in his eyes had shifted. I have something to say, but I need my wife and child to be safe first." Gaines stepped in, nodded. "We'll protect you, but your testimony, it could crack the whole layer underneath Clay. This story, it's clearly much bigger." Maya said nothing. She'd seen enough layers in war, but here, in the heart of America, those same layers lay just beneath a patch of green, quiet farmland. Cole sat on the porch bench. His hands trembled slightly as he unlocked his phone. He scrolled quickly and stopped on a voice memo. "This was a meeting 2 weeks ago. Clay called it the Property Cleanup Initiative, targeting minority households near a proposed resort development." Gaines nodded, eyes locked, fingers typing. "Which resort?" "Emerald Horizon. Developer is the city police chief's brother-in-law, Wilson." The name fell like a bomb. Maya crossed her arms, eyes narrowed. "So Clay's job was to clear the path, by harassing residents, planting evidence, forcing land sales?" Cole nodded. "My sister works in the land records office. She saw internal emails. Subject, prioritize West Sector, strategic land zone." Brooks cursed under his breath. Gaines signaled his team to upload all data to the federal servers. A minute later, a laptop displayed a map of Willow Creek's surrounding area. Red markers dotted the screen, each one a home raided, reported, or arrested without charges. Maya stepped closer, pointing to a dark red lot near the main road. "That's Mr. Jenkins' home. They tore up his chicken coop. He sold a week later." Cole nodded. 60% below market value. A new road to the resort will pass through there in months." Maya clenched her fists. She turned to Grace Monroe's camera. "Film the whole map. Every red mark. This isn't just my story anymore." Grace nodded. No questions, no fear. Gaines whispered, as if summarizing the entire day. "Clay was the surface. Wilson is the brain. And if this is real, Willow Creek won't be the only town." Maya looked up. The sun angled through the pines, casting long shadows. In what was once called the Promised Land, they'd unearthed something rotten. But at least someone was finally looking. The sky turned golden. Sunlight spilled through the pines, painting long streaks across the yard. Blitz remained still by Maya's side. Echo silently patrolled the perimeter. Gaines closed his laptop, eyes scanning the red markers one last time. "We'll open a formal federal investigation within 24 hours, but I worry." "They won't sit still," Maya said, her tone sharp. She didn't guess, she knew. Those who rig the system never accept defeat quietly. Her phone buzzed. A cracked screen displayed, "Private call." She answered. A familiar voice. Low, urgent, fast. "Maya, it's Marcus. I'm watching your live stream. The local newsroom was just sabotaged. Willow Creek footage wiped." "Grace is still here. The camera's still rolling." "I know, but insider tip. City police are preparing a counter warrant, charging you with obstruction, and worse, illegal possession." Maya's eyes narrowed. They were legalizing the lie. "Has anyone touched the planted bag?" "Not yet. The feds sealed it." "Good. I won't let them turn their own trick into a weapon." Marcus paused. Then, "I'm on my way. With the district attorney. Hold the line 30 more minutes." Maya hung up, turned to Gaines. "They're about to strike back. I need that shed locked down. No one touches it except the DA." Gaines nodded, called for 24/7 guards. In the corner, Cole quietly typed on his phone. Maya noticed, but didn't interrupt. A minute later, he stepped forward, grip tight. "There's something you need to know. They're not just targeting you. They plan to hit me tonight, at my house." A friend on the rapid response team tipped me off. Maya met his gaze. Calm, but commanding. "Then you're not going home tonight." "But my wife and kid will be taken somewhere safe. From this moment on, you're not just a witness. You're the first domino to fall in a rigged system. And systems like this don't die quietly." The wind was growing colder. A few yellow porch lights flickered on in the distant neighboring farms, but the light over Maya's land came only from the perimeter security system, flooding the yard in stark white. Maya walked toward the storage shed, where 2 federal agents stood guard next to the sealed fertilizer bin. She stared at the green plastic lid. A small object, yet one that could decide her fate if it ended up in the wrong hands. "Status?" she asked. One agent replied curtly, "No one's come near it. Cameras are recording non-stop. Level 1 surveillance protocol." Maya nodded, then turned back toward the porch. She saw Cole sitting on the steps, head in his hands. His posture looked drained, like someone who had just realized the full weight of speaking out. "They can take me down anytime," Cole said, not looking up. "Not with guns, with paperwork, media, a staged arrest. They've done it before." "I know," Maya replied, "but now you're not alone." An engine rumbled in the distance. A dark-colored vehicle pulled into the dirt drive. "Marcus," Maya whispered, stepping out to meet them. The car stopped. Doors opened. Marcus Gaines, tall, lean, black, and dressed in a rumpled gray suit, stepped out. Behind him was a woman, Valencia Torres, the district attorney, her sea-blue blazer crisp, her expression unsurprised by what lay before her. "You sealed the evidence?" Valencia asked, skipping pleasantries. "Since the moment they stepped onto the property. Cameras uploaded to the cloud. Audio recorders been running from the start." Valencia turned to Marcus. "We need witness protection, for both Maya and Cole." Marcus nodded, glancing at Cole. "You sure you want to go through with this?" Cole stood, back still slightly bent, but voice firm. "Yes, I'll testify. I'll say everything." Valencia signaled to the agents to move the evidence into the federal surveillance van. "They plan to burn your house down, Miss Daniels," Valencia said. "Evidence shows a semi-private squad was hired. Midnight tonight. If the property seems unguarded, they'll strike." Maya didn't blink. She asked, "How many hours?" "2, maybe 3. She nodded, glancing toward Blitz and Echo, resting on the porch. Ears pricked, eyes locked on the forest line. "Then we have 3 hours to prepare, and this time, they won't walk in unseen." Maya stood alone in the yard, wind rushing through the pines behind her. The sky darkened faster than usual. She reattached her old military earpiece, synced it to the security system. Her smartwatch displayed live feeds from 8 cameras, looping every 20 seconds to independent cloud backups. She turned to the 2 federal agents. "From now on, no one enters my house, not even federal personnel, without triple verification, password, hand sign, and voice code." "Understood," the agent replied. Blitz and Echo had switched to hold mode, seated near the porch, ears erect, eyes scanning the tree line. Maya crouched to adjust their armor-mounted comms. "Mission: hold. Do not engage until signal or command level 2. Objective: neutralize non-lethal." Echo gave a soft growl. Acknowledgement. Inside, Marcus and Valencia were establishing legal defenses, backup files, auxiliary cameras, emergency petitions to the DOJ, and a media report package, in case the main system was destroyed. Cole patrolled the house perimeter, flashlight and GPS tracker in hand. His body was still tense, but his steps steadier. Maya walked with him a few meters before stopping. "You scared?" "Terrified," Cole answered honestly. "Good. People who aren't scared die fast, but the ones who know fear choose where to stand when it counts." She patted his shoulder and returned to the main house. Almost 10 p.m. No strange sounds, just crickets, leaves rustling. A peace, too still to trust. Maya looked at Blitz. "Password?" The dog raised his head. Maya held up 3 fingers. Blitz left the porch, circled the yard, returned. No bark, no alert. "Outer perimeter. Clear," Maya whispered into the comms. Cole's voice came through from the back. "No movement spotted, but I feel eyes on me." Maya tightened her vest straps. "Everyone to position. Disable auxiliary lights. Switch to infrared only." A sudden gust swept across the yard. Echo growled low. Eyes locked on the forest's edge. No one had appeared yet, but Maya knew this feeling. A battlefield doesn't begin with bullets. It begins with silence, and the certainty that someone is coming. 10:37 p.m. Maya's watch screen flashed red. Unidentified movement. Camera 4B, western tree line. She tapped, zoomed in. Amid the wind-shaken branches, a shape flickered by. Too quick to ID, but unmistakably human, not an animal. "Camera 4B has a target. West side." 80 meters out, Maya said into the comms. Gaines replied from the living room, "I'm locking the inner doors, keeping the DA and data secure." Valencia chimed in, "All files and backup drives encrypted. If the system goes dark for 5 minutes, everything uploads." Maya stepped off the porch, eyes alert. She signaled Blitz and Echo, switching from hold to track. They moved instantly. 2 silent shadows vanishing into tall grass. Cole's voice came from behind the barn. "Someone's behind the chicken coop. I saw a red laser reflected in glass. Military gear. They're armed." Maya froze. "Stay cautious. No engagement. Mark their position and fall back to second perimeter." "Roger." She tapped twice on her watch. Immediately, the backfield lights shut off, leaving only infrared and motion sensors. No visibility from inside, but any movement would be exposed. 10:42 p.m. Echo gave a short bark. The signal, contact. Observing target. A federal agent's voice cut in. Visual on 3 individuals. Black clothes, masks, gloves, approaching from northeast. Maya clenched her jaw. Not burglars, hired team, trained. She pulled a small remote from her coat. One button, bright orange. X-Delta mode, perimeter deployment. She pressed it. Perimeter lights flashed once, then cut out. Clicking noises rippled around the yard. Backup locks, trip sensors, thermal cams, activated. Nowhere to hide. Maya whispered into the comms like a command to herself. Game's over. Time to unmask them. 10:44 p.m. A soft click echoed from the woods, a gas can lid snapping open. Maya heard it. Echo heard it. Then, the metallic scrape of a lighter against stone. They brought fuel, Maya said tersely. Objective, destroy evidence via fire. A federal guard shouted through the radio. Contact north side, suspect with flammable liquid, request immediate assist. Maya signaled. Blitz, close in. Echo, dispersed engagement. Command, level 2. The dogs launched like silent arrows, cutting through the mist. Through thermal cams, Maya tracked the trio splitting up. One to the coop, one circling to the back door, one climbing toward the porch. Not in uniform, mercenaries or paid-off personnel, but trained, tactical. Maya pulled her second remote, temporary disorientation device. She activated it. Within 15 meters of the house, a strobe of infrared pulses exploded, blinding anyone without filter goggles. And a few seconds was all Blitz and Echo needed. A howl cut through the dark. Blitz slammed into the target with the fuel can, knocking him flat without biting. Disabling, not maiming. Echo appeared behind the one at the back door, clamping down on his lighter arm, twisting the wrist backward, silent and effective. Cole shouted from across the yard, 2 runners heading back into the woods. Do not pursue, Maya snapped. Record, track, defend the house. A federal agent secured the first downed attacker. The second, writhing in the grass from Echo's takedown, was pinned within 10 seconds. Maya rushed to the back entrance, unlocking it in emergency mode. She saw Echo in a defensive stance, holding off a third man. Not attacking, just blocking. The intruder looked up. Mason Clay. No vest, no badge, but eyes, colder than night. You think you've won? He sneered. Maya didn't answer. She raised her hand. Echo moved left. Blitz emerged right, flanking. I don't need to win, she said. I just need... Everything lit up. Clay reached into his coat, but before he could grab anything, 4 floodlights ignited. A second federal vehicle arrived. Sheriff Brooks and 2 county officers stepped out. Mason Clay stood frozen, empty hands, tight mouth. Maya didn't advance. She simply said, loud enough to pierce the air, Tonight, there's nowhere left to hide. Floodlights from the federal vehicle blasted across Clay's face, freezing him like a hunted animal caught in the open. He raised a hand to shield his eyes, blinking rapidly. Not from the light, but because he knew. This time, there was no one left to shield him. Sheriff Brooks was the first to step out. His boots thudded hard into the dirt, each step measured, as if weighing the damage Clay had done to this town. Hands off your body, Clay, Brooks commanded, his voice leaving no room for negotiation. Clay clenched his jaw. His fingers trembled before he finally let them fall. You think you know who I am? He hissed. I've kept order in this town for 10 years. They all listen to me. Without me, these people would tear each other apart. Valencia Torres stepped forward from the federal SUV. The reflected light shimmered off her prosecutor badge like a death sentence. And for that exact reason, you'll be indicted under Title 18, abusive power, evidence tampering, witness intimidation, and orchestrating civilian assault. Each charge will be read in full at your arraignment tomorrow morning. Maya stood behind Echo, not advancing, but her gaze locked onto Clay. For the first time, he couldn't return the look. Cole stepped forward from the rear, holding a handheld camera. The footage of Clay trespassing is already uploaded to 4 separate servers, auto-synced. Can't be deleted or altered, he said firmly. Marcus held up his phone, scrolling. Channel 9 just broke the story. CNN is contacting me now. Clay, everything you've done is unraveling in front of millions. Agent Gaines approached, nodding to Brooks. Take him in. Clay didn't move, but as the officers moved to cuff him, he spat one last line through gritted teeth. You think this ends with me, Maya? I'm just mid-level. You haven't seen the bottom yet. Maya replied, her voice calm and resolute. I don't need to see the bottom. I only need to bring light down one step at a time. And now, it's your turn to live in the dark. The cuffs snapped shut. Clay was pushed into the cruiser. In the silence of the night, only the sound of the engine and the red lights flashing into the distance remained, dragging away a symbol of power finally crumbling. Maya stood tall and silent, not with joy, not with vengeance, just as a soldier who had defended her land for one more night. Maya walked slowly back to the porch where Echo and Titan waited, their eyes still alert, as if unsure that safety had truly returned. She gently stroked Echo's head and whispered, Good girl, but it's not over yet. Cole approached, handing her a bottle of water. You should rest. We'll keep watch, he said quietly. Maya shook her head. She looked up at the pale moon through the treetops, her voice even. I used to think the enemy was the gunfire in Kandahar, but it's not. The real enemy wears a badge, stands on your homeland, and says they're here to protect you. Marcus approached just off a call. FBI confirms. Clay's Community Support Fund is directly linked to the resort development firm. Traces of money laundering, real estate manipulation. How many more? Maya asked, staring into the distance. Torres, the prosecutor, stepped forward with a thick folder. At least 9 Black and Indigenous families were forced to sell. Some were arrested for drug possession. We believe most were framed. They were targeted under Operation Rebuild, an internal Willow Creek PD initiative. Maya closed her eyes. Fatigue finally began to seep through the walls she had built. If I hadn't had cameras, if Echo and Titan weren't here, if I hadn't been trained to fight. She sighed. Tonight, I would have been another name in a headline with no investigation. Marcus laid a hand on her shoulder. But you're still standing, and no one can ignore this now. Lisa Chen from Channel 7 stepped forward, mic in hand. Maya, if you could send a message to others facing threats, what would you say? Maya turned to the camera. Her gaze was steady. When they try to scare you, it's because they fear you knowing the truth. Don't stay silent. Silence is their strongest weapon, and our worst enemy. Lisa nodded. The camera zoomed in. Maya's eyes were steel, but exhaustion lingered beneath. The night was quiet once more, but Maya knew. The real fight had only just begun. 3 Hontic a.m. Maya sat by the window. Echo and Titan remained on high alert, but completely silent. Outside, the lights from media and police had mostly faded. Only distant glows remained. Suddenly, her tablet screen lit up. Emergency alert. Sentinel Protocol, Level 3. She opened the communications map. A strange signal, coming from the forest behind the house outside public surveillance range. She looked at Echo and signaled silently. Titan rose, muscles tense, calculating terrain. Maya grabbed her infrared binoculars and peered through a crack in the window. Movement. 4 people. No insignia, no uniforms. Dispersing into formation. Weapons appear improvised or unregistered. She pressed the silent alarm, sending a ping to Sentinel teams stationed within 5 minutes. Marcus opened the door from the next room, whispering, What is it? They're back. Not Clay. A different group, more professional. Looks like mercs. Marcus clenched his fists. They're desperate. If Clay talks, he'll reveal who backed him. To stop that, they'll destroy everything. Their targets, hard drives, backups, and me. Echo growled low. Titan took a guard position behind the back door. From her earpiece, Cole's voice came through. Sentinel Team 2 spotted 2 suspicious vehicles near the forest road, one with fake plates. Maya ordered, "Do not engage. Contact state police, but gather enough evidence, don't let them slip." Roger. Team 3, circling from the north for intercept. She turned to Marcus. "You need to deliver the backup drives to the FBI station now. No one can hold all data in one place anymore. Can you do it?" Marcus nodded instantly. "On it." She handed him an SSD and flash drive, plus Torres's documents. "If I don't make contact in 30 minutes, send everything to press, FBI, civil rights attorneys." Marcus hesitated, then said softly, "Maya, be careful." She smiled, tired but firm. "I survived Kandahar. I'll survive Willow Creek." A branch snapped in the distance, barely a sound, but enough to make Titan growl from behind the door. Maya turned, eyes sharpening. "The final round is starting." The back door quivered. Once, twice. Not the wind, not an animal. Maya tightened her grip on the metal baton hidden beneath the table. Echo edged closer to the door. Silent. Titan crouched, eyes glowing in the dark, waiting for the signal. The yard's motion light flicked on. A shadow darted across, then vanished. Bait, move, Maya thought, testing the response before the real breach. Cole's voice came through. Targets 1 and 2 exited their vehicle. Silenced pistols, approaching southwest. Maya crouched, signaling Titan, "Hold." She unlocked a steel cabinet, retrieved a small pulsar, no bigger than a car key. One press activated all tactical motion detect cams within 50 meters, streaming live to the FBI command center. One dark figure crept toward the kitchen window. He crouched, probing. As he unlatched it, a red light blinked in Maya's earpiece. Target 1 in range. She counted silently, 3, 2, 1. Click. The door opened slightly. Before he could enter, Echo lunged like lightning, clamped his wrist precisely, non-lethal but immobilizing. The second intruder drew a weapon. Too late. Titan struck from the side, slamming him into the wall and pinning him with a double-leg lock like he had done a dozen times in Afghanistan. Maya charged in, kicked the weapon away. "Don't resist! You're being recorded!" she shouted, making sure audio synced with the video logs. A third tried to flee, but Cole and 2 veterans intercepted him with smooth precision. Marcus texted from afar. "Data delivered. FBI en route. Hang tight." Maya surveyed the yard. 3 of 5 intruders neutralized. Weapons secured. Every action recorded. The others? Either fleeing in panic or already gone. This was no longer her house. It was a fortress, where justice didn't wait. It hunted. What do you think? Should corrupt police be allowed to hire mercenaries to destroy evidence? Type yes if you believe this is unacceptable. Or no if you still trust the system to fix itself. 4:12 a.m. The FBI team arrived on site. The captured intruders, cuffed, separated, loaded into vans. Titan and Echo remained in guard mode, unmoving, like immortal sentinels in the misty dawn of Willow Creek. A young agent approached Maya, visibly impressed. "We've never seen a civilian defense set up like this. You turned your home into a tactical base." Maya didn't smile. She stared at the FBI van pulling away with the detained attackers. "I didn't do it out of pride. I did it because I knew one day they'd come. And tonight, I wasn't wrong." Valencia Torres emerged from the porch, thick files in hand, her voice steady despite no sleep. "All evidence is secured. Indictments will be issued within 48 hours. Clay, his team, and now, the hired outsiders, we've exposed the whole network." Cole stood nearby, eyes bloodshot but steady. "It all started with one person who refused to stay silent." He looked at Maya. She nodded. No more words were needed. Lisa from Channel 7 stepped forward, camera rolling. Maya, after everything, what would you say to the viewers watching this right now? Maya looked directly into the lens. If you ever thought you were too small to make a difference, remember, every massive wall starts to fall from a single crack, and that crack could be your voice. I'm no hero, just an ordinary woman, but I chose not to be silent, and you can too. Have you ever witnessed injustice and didn't know how to act? Type I have if you relate to Maya, or I won't stay silent if you're ready to stand for justice. The first rays of sunlight pierced through the pines, stretching across the wooden porch and brushing over Maya's dirt-streaked, weary face. But in her eyes, there was no more tension, only something deeper, calm after the storm. Echo lay with her head resting on Maya's lap, breathing evenly. Titan stood guard at the doorway, still refusing to let safety breed complacency. Maya sipped from a small tin of lukewarm coffee Marcus had handed her. It wasn't good, but it was warm. Valencia Torres was still reviewing legal documents, prepping for the 10 a.m. press conference at City Hall. Marcus sat nearby, voice raspy but lighter. You know what they're calling you? The Black Sentinel, the guardian of justice through the night. Maya gave a faint smile, shook her head. I was just the last one left standing when no one else would. Cole emerged from the house holding a signed affidavit and transfer request, his full statement submitted to the FBI. His face looked like a man who'd just unloaded months of silent burden. I used to think staying quiet was how you stayed safe. But I was wrong. Silence doesn't protect anyone. It only feeds the ones pulling the strings. Maya didn't reply. She just placed a hand on his shoulder, like one soldier acknowledging another. Down by the gate, a news van was unloading gear. Grace Monroe from Channel 9 waved at Maya. Your live stream hit the nation this morning. Twitter's exploding. Hashtag #StandWithMaya is trending top 3. I don't care about trending, Maya replied softly. I care about change. Change is happening. Maybe slow, but it's real. A light breeze swept through. Last night's footprints still marked the damp earth. But now, no one crept through the shadows. Everything was out in the open. Maya stood and stretched. Her shoulders, burdened for hours, felt a little lighter now. I'm going to change Echo's bandage. Then, clean the rust from the rifles. And rest? Marcus asked. There's a whole town that needs rebuilding, and if I don't start, who will? That morning in Willow Creek, there were no sirens, only the sound of someone who survived, beginning to rebuild a community from the debris of truth. The sun was up. The air held the scent of pine and damp soil after the storm. Maya and Cole stood beside the old chicken coop, once torn apart by Clay's team, searching for evidence. Now, it would become something else. I'm turning this into a legal resource center, Maya said, pointing to the weathered wall, for anyone who's ever been intimidated, abused, or simply doesn't know their rights. Cole nodded, surprised. You want to turn it into a fortress? No, Maya replied, squinting at sunlight through the leaves. I want it to be the first place where people don't have to whisper about injustice. On the porch, Marcus was wrapping Echo's leg. The dog lay still, occasionally glancing at Maya, as if awaiting orders, though the battle was over. Valencia approached, holding the preliminary indictment files. Clay's being transferred to a federal facility out of state, trial expected in 60 days. Wilson, the investor, has been summoned as well. And the media? Maya asked, not looking up. Quiet for now, but it'll flare back up once hearings begin. Will you testify? Maya nodded without hesitation. I won't be silent anymore, and this time I'm not the only one. She looked toward the dirt road leading into town. People were gathering. First a few, then more. They carried no signs, no slogans. They came quietly to Maya's gate. They saw the cameras, the news vans, and they came, because finally someone was speaking for them. An elderly woman, skin dark and wrinkled, walked slowly to Maya. Her cane trembled in hand, but her eyes glistened. "You don't know," she whispered. "My grandson was arrested last year. No one believed he was innocent. I was about to give up." Maya bowed her head and gently clasped the woman's hand. "I know. That's why I'm here. For him, for you, for everyone who never got the chance to be heard." The wind stirred the grass. A dog barked somewhere in the distance. No chants, no drums, only presence of those once afraid, now learning to stand tall. Maya turned back, voice even. Today is the first day we begin rewriting the story of Willow Creek, and this time it won't be written by the ones holding the guns, but by those carrying memory. The morning passed quietly, but heavily. More townspeople gathered around Maya's farm, not to protest, not to film, just to witness. An older man, once raided by Clay's team, now carried a pot of hot coffee, pouring it for strangers. A little boy stood beside his mother, holding a handmade sign. "Miss Maya, you're why I want to be a good cop." Maya sat on the porch, Echo resting on her lap, Titan now surrounded by giggling children under a tree. "Do you think Willow Creek can really change?" Cole asked, eyes on the crowd. Maya didn't answer right away. She closed her eyes for a moment. Memories flooded in. Clay banging on the door at midnight, the trap, the fear in people's eyes. Then she spoke, softly but clearly. "I think Willow Creek was never allowed to be good. It was painted over with fake peace. And now we're finally peeling back the paint." Valencia approached, holding a list of volunteers. "You have lawyers, activists, even a few former officers willing to testify. You're not alone anymore." "I never was," Maya replied. "They just didn't see me, didn't hear me until I yelled loud enough." A voice rose from the crowd. An older woman, firm. "Miss Maya, can you tell us what's next?" Maya stepped off the porch, facing dozens who had waited too long for someone to speak. "What's next? We reclaim our stolen voices. We reopen every twisted case. We document, archive, and bring the truth to law and press. And if the system refuses to listen, we'll build a new one, based on truth, not shadows." Applause broke out, not rehearsed, not perfect, just hands, clapping for the first time without shame. A crow soared overhead, wings slicing the sky, as if announcing a beginning. Willow Creek used to survive through silence. Now, voices were returning. Late afternoon. The sky darkened, as if rain loomed. But Willow Creek was on fire. Not from flames, but from awakening. Maya stepped into the town's old chapel, abandoned for years. No altar, no preacher, just a long wooden table with a wired microphone. Cole was connecting the projector. Valencia Torres unfurled a town map onto a dusty corkboard. "All right," Maya said, standing at the center. "If you've ever been hurt by this system or seen someone silenced, today you have the right to speak." A woman stood slowly. "My daughter was arrested for obstruction, just for filming a cop searching her friend's bag. The charge still stands." 2 years later, an older man raised his voice from the back. "I reported illegal land tax hikes. My house got raided 4 times in a month. No explanation, no warrant. Another hand, then another. Voices, once silenced, now rose. Maya wrote down every name, case, date. All would go into a community dossier, open source, analyzed by volunteer lawyers and shared with civil rights groups. Valencia pointed at the map. "These are zones targeted by Clay's team. We need confirmation. Who was pressured? Who was threatened?" A man stood, teary-eyed. "They didn't just take land. They took our sense of belonging. But today, Willow Creek feels hopeful again." Maya nodded. "No one's coming to save us. No superheroes. No perfect courts. Just us. Those who've bled and refuse to forget. She scanned the silent room. Tomorrow, we file our first petition with 34 cases, and we won't stop. Someone asked, "Will you lead this group?" She paused, then answered, "No, I just opened the door. The leader is each of you when you decide not to be afraid." Light spilled through the stained glass, painting the chapel floor in pale gold. Willow Creek had just laid the first brick of a reborn community, not for religion or politics, but for one thing, the right to speak and be heard. Next morning, Maya opened the wooden mailbox, once filled only with bills, election flyers, or anonymous threats. Today, it was stuffed with envelopes, not from courts, but handwritten letters, shaky, misspelled, sometimes only a few words, but heavy with years of pain. She sat on the porch, Echo by her side. Titan laid his head on her lap, as always. She opened them one by one. "I'm the wife of Mr. I'm the Lester, dragged from our home over mistaken identity. He died of heart failure last year, but never slept through the night again. He used to say, 'No one believes an old black man telling the truth.' Today, I cry, because finally, he's not the only voice." Another note, just one line. "You don't know me, but you reminded me I still have the right to be angry, to speak, and to demand my dignity." And a letter in purple ink, clearly from a child. "Miss Maya, I used to be scared of police, but Mama says now we can believe in good people again. Can you teach me how to train dogs like Echo?" Maya smiled, but her tears had already fallen. Cole approached, holding a tablet. "We've received over 140 emails in 12 hours, half from other towns. People want to build response teams, learn secure camera setups, start speaking." Marcus called. "3 national nonprofits just offered to fund your center. They're calling it the Black Sentinel Project." Maya wasn't surprised. She looked toward town. When one person speaks, it's just an echo, but when many speak, it becomes a current. She placed the letters in a wooden box. On the lid, she wrote with a marker, "First testimonies, no more silence." Willow Creek's story no longer belonged to one person. It had spread through emails, live streams, TikToks, podcasts. But here, on this porch, Maya knew. Real power doesn't start with justice or laws. It starts with the formerly afraid, who now dare to write a letter and send it. That afternoon, Maya stood at the porch, once the boundary between fear and defiance. She looked toward the rooftops of Willow Creek, where sunlight touched old shingles and forgotten windows. Echo and Titan lay beside her, peaceful after chaos. No sirens, no pounding fists, only wind and rustling leaves. On the steps, a wooden box of letters. Thanks, testimonies, hand-scrawled truths from those who once believed their voices meant nothing. Maya turned to the camera. She spoke slowly, clearly, not as a hero but as someone who had weathered the storm. "I used to think I had to be steel to fight injustice, but I learned. It's not strength that changes the world. It's resolve. It's the courage to speak, even once, to stand, even alone. Because once one person stands, another follows, then another." She stepped down, picked up a fallen letter, folded it gently, and placed it in the box. Willow Creek is just a small town, but from this town, the country began to listen. And if you're watching this video, maybe you are the one who will spark change where you live. Maya looked into the lens, her gaze soft but steady. Don't wait for someone to grant you the right to speak. You already have it. You've had it since the moment you were born. If this story made you reflect, please like video and share it with someone who needs hope. Subscribe for more stories of truth, courage, and community. Because maybe your small act today is the first light for someone still lost in the dark. This is Maya Daniels, and you're watching the Black Sentinel Project, where no voice is buried in silence again.